So the spirits really want to talk about the law of attraction today, and how it works. They want to talk about how we each have our own kind of internal reality, really. You know, if we come from, perhaps we came from a childhood where there's been quite a lot of pain or mauling, if you like, you know, being pushed around, or if we come from a lighter childhood where, you know, we've had a lot of positive experiences. Our internal realities will all be slightly different, obviously, depending on our nurture and nature, depending on our backgrounds. And so each of us will have a slightly different reality going on. But more than that, the law of attraction is very much the reality matching and mirroring what's going on internally for us. And although it does sound, in this material world, it does sound quite far-fetched, in the spiritual terms, which is where we actually are in reality, in energy terms, this is exactly what is being reflected, is our inner life is reflected back to us. And it can be a very subtle thing, or it can be a more powerful thing, but it will all be the same. We will all be having our inner realities being reflected back to us. So for example, if we spend a lot of our lives worrying about certain things, if they worry based on fears that we haven't really looked at or addressed, those matching worries or equivalent worries or lots of little worries will naturally pop up for us. So if we worry, things to worry about will pop up. And so we think, oh, that justifies why we're worrying. But actually it doesn't. Actually what's happening is we are manifesting that worry. We are creating that worry outside. We are making that happen. Because we are energy, fundamentally we are energy. We are creating what is around us in our vibration. We are creating everything around us. We may not think we are, but we are. We are creating what is around us. The things that we absorb, if we're really antagonistic against something or someone or something, that will then pop up on the outside, and miraculously the same thing, similar things will just pop up around us, and we then find a way to then express the feeling that we already have. It's after the effect. We're having these things are these vibrations of worry or dislike or whatever it is, or perhaps a sadness or a depression or whatever it is that is our own vibration that is going around within us in particular moments or particular hours or particular days or particular years. That will be being reflected, and those things will pop up. So we tend to think that it justifies it all to us. Oh yeah, that was really worth being worried about, because look, there's that bill. That bill's appeared on the mat. But if we go back a step, we have to see that our worry and our fear is what has to create. It's creating it first, and then the outside will mirror it. It will mirror it. So therefore, only when we change and work out where the fears are coming from, and we look at the root of them, and then we shift it, we'll then see that, oh, that's funny how those worries don't seem to keep popping up. No, they don't keep popping up because we've stopped creating them. It is a big jump. It's a big leap for us to, and it's terrifying to make that leap from these patterns that we've formed for ourselves over our lifetime. And the longer we've been living in our material body, the longer these patterns have been going on. And so it's only when we stop these vibrationary patterns does the outside actually change. But it is a massive leap of faith to make that change, because if these patterns are so ingrained in us, we're comfortable with them, we're content with them almost. But we want more. Of course, we want more happiness, more joy, more life, more love, more laughter. We want these things. But it's my cat there. But in order to change those things on the outside, we think, oh, if we go on holiday, we'll have a fabulous time. Well, will we? Perhaps we'll escape from all those financial worries or whatever the things that are going round and round, but that's like a momentary thing. Those fears and those worries, if they're in our pattern, we are continuing to create them. We are continuing to create that pattern. If we haven't looked at where the fear is coming from, what is the worst case scenario? Where is the deepest part of that fear? Where is it coming from? We have to locate it. We have to listen. We have to listen. We have to talk to our child. Talk to our real child. Where's this coming from? What happened in our life that we're repeating this pattern all the time? Yeah, and so when we then change these traumas and these fears and these heavy weights that we've carried around with us, the outside will genuinely change. But it's like we tend to, the biggest fear almost grows into the largest boulder. You know, we might sometimes start with small boulders and small fears, and then as time goes by, when we've seen so much repetition of the disasters going on the outside, yes, again, it's happened again, or perhaps it's a relationship, again, same thing's happened again, the same thing's happened again. The boulder gets bigger and bigger and bigger in terms of us being more and more, the boulder, a kind of representation of the fear, that it gets bigger and bigger, and that kind of reality of that boulder gets larger and larger. But we have created that largeness of that boulder. We have created it into being as big as it is. So the spirits really want to throw a challenge out to all of us. Is if a lot of us may think this is nonsense, and there was a day when I did too. Try it for a day. Try it for an hour. So how would you try law of attraction for a day or an hour? Well, try it for a day. It's a real challenge. And so let's assume we've got quite a few big boulders. Perhaps we've got financial pressures which are very real. You know, they're very real. There's a big boulder there, and there's a big. Let's just stick with that at the moment. So how do we, in terms of law of attraction, how do we shift our reality into a better reality than that? How do we stop worrying about the boulder? Well, there's been a lot of years, shall we say, a lot of build-up that's caused this boulder to become this big, or whatever the fear is. Perhaps it's swimming, whatever it is. But lots of things there'll be a lot of repetitions. Obviously, if we keep having law of attraction against this fear thing all the time, the repetitions, and you'll be able to cite so many examples of all the bad things when they happened, of course. So many repetitions. So first of all, what we need to try to do is to have a day where we don't think negative thoughts about ourselves or about others. So if it means you switch things off and don't look at media or don't look at stuff, if you can't stop yourself doing it, just switch it off for the day. Whatever the it is that you find causes repetition of negativity. Now, in terms of the big boulders that have taken many, many years to create, like the financial worries, for example, we're not going to be able to shift that in one day, really, realistically. We may be able to reduce it in size a bit. So the best way to do on that is just to not think about that big boulder for the day. So not only are we going to not have negative thoughts about things and ourselves, and if we find ourselves going that direction, like you would a child, just distract ourselves from it. Distract ourselves from that usual pattern. So try a day of distraction, because as they say, when boulders have got quite large, you can't suddenly shift them that quickly. These patterns have become ingrained over a lot of time. There's a lot of repetition that's caused them. So so just for a day, my cat, My cat is fine. My just cat likes to do that. It's driving me nuts though. He's put me right off. Yeah, so for the day, instead of making a massive attempt to shift the massive boulder, what we're going to just do is just distract ourselves from it. Just distract from it. Find something else. Find a thought or find something that you maybe even looking forward to. You're really looking forward to something that perhaps there's a chance that you're going to get a really nice car or something down the line, or a lovely bicycle or something, or a lovely dress or something. Not so much food. Food can cause a bit of havoc, which they want to talk about later, but things like those hopeful things that really keep us in that kind of excited state. So when we have those boulders, when those boulders come forward, what we're going to do is just distract ourselves and think of something really. Think of that lovely bicycle that perhaps we're going to get, and where we're going to go. Expand the positive. Where we're going to go on the bike. You know, who we're going to go and see. Who we're going to meet up with. You know, will we take the dogs? Perhaps we can run along with the dogs on the side. Or how are we going to pimp it up? You know, is it the right colour? Should we get a really lovely colour? Should we put a basket on it? Maybe some panniers. So whatever the great, joyful, hopeful thing is in your life, pimp it. So what we're doing by that, or what you're doing by that, is you've started with a little small bit of a little stone, a little boulder. You've started with something really nice, and what you've actually started to do is create, again, a larger boulder, but of something lovely. You see, at the end of the day, what they want to express is that if we're energy, just that, then we can equally create the energy of this large negative as we can equally create the boulder of the positive. We are subconsciously choosing our progress and how we're moving forward in our life and what we're allowing ourselves to have. We are subconsciously allowing us to choose which creation we're going to have in our life. And by the law of attraction will give us what we're creating. And if we are creating the large negative financial boulder, or whatever it is, we are creating that. We're feeding it all the time. Ooh, another fear. Look, another bill. Oh, God. Oh, it's bigger and bigger. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But we have to see that we are creating that size of that. And things will miraculously shift by strange coincidence. That's the next thing they want to talk about then. So what then happens with it when we then keep ignoring, dismissing, distracting ourselves, look the other way, whatever it takes, look the other way, don't look at the big boulder, whatever the big scary thing is, don't look that way today, just for the one day. So they want to say that what will happen is there will be, because we are energetic beings, we are energy, there will be an energetic shift in the things you've started to create. There will naturally be, because instead of you pouring energy, your own energy, into that big boulder and feeding it daily, weekly, moment to moment, another feed, there's another feed, another bill, another scary, looking at the television, financial crisis, whatever it is, feed this monster. So instead of putting energy into that creation, you are then choosing to create something else with your energy. And so the energy is starting to get torn between, and then what they want to express is that there will be a shift in your reality. And your day, strange coincidences will happen. They will look like coincidences. They won't be, because it's a match to your change of energy. But it will appear, certainly on the first day perhaps, that lots of quite nice coincidences happened on that day. Lots of quite nice things happened. Oh. And then you could perhaps try a second day. See if those interesting coincidences happen again. And maybe again. And maybe again. And then the day may come, and will come, where you can then address, when you look at that boulder over there, whoa, hang on, that's not as large as it was. How's that happened? Because you're not feeding it anymore. You're not using our creative energy to feed that anymore. It's naturally got nothing that's feeding it, it's keeping it. Our energies are vibrational patterns. So by you not putting energy into that, you're not feeding that vibrational pattern anymore. So it started to reduce in size. Its formation has reduced in size. And so naturally, better things are going to, and also the ways forward to start to deal with that worry will come forward. We've only got so much energy. You know, we are energetic beings, but we've only got so much. And if we're using all of our energy to enlarge something horrible, a monster of whatever the monster might be, and it doesn't matter what that monster is, it can be anything. We will then stop putting the energy into it, and then we will start to find ways to deal with those fears positively, so that we change things. And it will be unusual and surprising ideas will pop into your head. And you think, wow, that's amazing. And you won't have been to that place before, because we've spent so many of our time and our years holding up this massive boulder. And so the surprise, the wonderful surprise of where we've taken our energy from that awful direction, we suddenly have energy for more positive. So solutions, we are so intelligent, we really are, and you are too. You know, as a human being, you are and we are so intelligent, but we throw so much negative energy into certain places. So take our energy back, and it's almost twiddling its thumbs, you know, that energy. It'd be like, ooh, and it'll pop up with something wonderful. And little by little, you'll be able to start coming up with schemes and ideas and management or whatever it is on focus and strategy. You will come up with solutions for those big, big monsters. And they may be quite dramatic, and they will maybe involve a painful change. You know, change can usually be pretty upheaval and dramatic, you know. But getting through that, you'll get through to a better place. And it will be surprising and wonderful and spectacular. So that's what they really want to talk about. They want to talk about law of attraction is a force like gravity. It exists. That's how it works. You know, it exists. Gravity for the material, law of attraction for the spiritual, for our spiritual bodies. You know, it's not possible to have something on the outside that isn't going on in the inside. It just doesn't. It has to match up. It has to match up. And so patterns that we didn't know that we were still spinning around with, you know, can stop lots of good things. We may not be aware of certain patterns that are spinning. You know, so the onus is on us to do the work. We have to do the work to better our lives. We really have to. We have to look inside. But it's all there. We can really shift our realities. we might look at some celebrity having a fabulous time on a beach, or somebody having a wonderful holiday in the most beautiful place in the world. But if their inner self is in turmoil or misery, or is not able to experience joy, they may be somewhere fabulous and beautiful, but they may not be enjoying any of it. All of it, some of it, none of it, maybe none of it. Because our inside dictates our outside of all the things that are coming to us. How can we possibly have good things coming to us on a certain subject, like art, for example, if we go around hating paintings? How can things get in? How can there be an energy match? How can it get in? It's just not possible. Okay, so that's what they wanted to talk about as law of attraction today, and how it particularly works with our energy vibrations that we're having. And of course, if we choose to have a second day, and then a third day, and then maybe a fourth day, where we start refocusing our energies where we want them, where do we want our energies to go? We can make a list. Writing things down is so important to give ourselves a voice. It's like we listen to everybody else's voice all the time. We hear you, we hear you, we hear you. When do we hear ourselves? We very rarely talk to ourselves. Some of us talk to ourselves, but maybe not in the mirror or whatever. We don't spend a lot of time listening and talking to ourselves. And so writing, just get a pen and paper any time of the day, write something down, your thoughts, whatever. Doesn't matter what they are. Listen to what those thoughts are. Oh, that's a surprise. So, and also writing things down. Where do we want to put our energy? What are the things that are important in our life that we want to put energy in? Where do we don't want energy? Well, let's not perhaps even avoid that because we don't want to grow. We don't want to grow unless we're dealing with the trauma and the fear of something, which is what we must do. We don't want to be growing the negatives. So where do we want to put the positive flow of energy? If we truly accepted that we were all energy and nothing else but energy, we can change our whole life with that knowledge. It's so powerful to accept that we are just energy, or all energy, not just, but all energy. Therefore, where are we draining our energy? Where are we leeching our energy? Where are we leaking our energy? Where are we putting energy that makes us feel really cross, frustrated and angry? Where do we want to be putting our energies? And the other one thing they just want me to pop in is to say, and this is quite a hard thing to do, is that in the morning, in order to do this law of attraction starting day one, in the morning, just get up even 10 minutes earlier than you would normally. Ideally an hour, but 10 minutes earlier or 15 minutes earlier, to just get a fix on how you want to energetically play out your day, in terms of, if you're doing law of attraction day, just talk yourself into how you want to, that energy you want to focus on. So that the thing of it is, if we start our day on the back foot, as we know ourselves, when we start, we get up late, it's awful when we get up late, we forget to set our alarm, whatever. When we get up late, we set ourselves on the back foot the whole day. And isn't it strange how the whole day can just turn to toilet? Literally, just by the fact that we didn't set our alarm. There isn't the time, there hasn't been the time to do this, that, the other. Oh, you had to miss that, leave that, you felt horrible, frustrated. It's a weird thing. But in order to get on top of how we want to express our energy for that day, even if it's 5, 10 or 15 minutes ahead of what we would normally give ourselves. We gift ourselves that extra time just to decide how we're going to express our energy for the day. You know, oh, let's switch that off. Okay, let's not start with, just to focus our mind a little bit. Because if we're up late or we forget to get up at a certain time, we're straight away on that back foot. When we're on the back foot, the spirits talked earlier about dark spirits. This is very important. They wanted to talk about that. When we put ourselves on the back foot and we start on a negative, if you like, we straight away open our door up to the darker spirits that are all more than happy to cock things up for us. You know, and we'll, just so we can say, oh God, I'm useless, why can't I, you know. So in a sense, it kind of catches the dark spirits out a little bit, because we've, it's like, well, I didn't have the chance to jump on that. He never gets up before that time. They weren't ready. So we don't want to give them the opportunity to jump all over us and get onto those negative patterns that they help us go down, drag us down with. Oh yes, they will. They'll be happy to do that. That's their bread and butter. Because that's the other thing about energy, is that obviously there are so many different species on this planet, but also there are spiritual species going around that we don't see necessarily, darker spirits that we don't see necessarily, and no energy gets wasted. So we look at diseases and things like that, they're all sucking up, you know, like when a dead body breaks down in the soil, all the microorganisms will come in and feed off that. That's the system, that's how it works. No energy is wasted, everything is taken and everything is used. And so negative energy that we are, if we're having a pattern of negative energy in our lives, or momentary, or a day or a month or a year, whatever that is, there will be other energy forms that will come and feed on that, because nothing is wasted here. Nothing is wasted. Energy is food and is fuel for something and someone. That's why we meet people who like to feed off negative energy, and we call them toxic, because they're coming in and feeding from. And just in the physical world, in the human world, you could say, spirits and darker spirits are doing exactly the same thing. Just like a virus is going around, and it is going around on the energy and absorbing energy as well. It's like, no, we won't go there. It's like nothing, no energy is wasted, even if it's negative energy. So by us creating massive boulders of negative energy, you know, it's food for something. You know, something's going to enjoy it with us. You know, we're opening the door for lots of things to enjoy it with us, lots of spirits to enjoy it with us. But if we're doing positive energy, we're also opening the door for lots of positive, higher spirits to come and enjoy that with us. Yeah. Dogs and cats.